to me. She's talking about the spin on the media when it pertains to this subject and other subjects like it. I'm saying that in the greater aspect of what's going on, they can care less about what police do to us. You see, they haven't reformed.
Of course, they don't care. That don't mean it's not racist.
Let me finish. They haven't reformed anything at all. What they gain from keeping the system the way it is greater than racism.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I thought it was racism too, but then as I start to think about it, if you get to that echelon, like you were saying, it might be a little bit deeper.
It is deeper. It's deeper than just racism.
How many people in the government and in positions of power and in business are Masons?
But the reason racism exists is a form of control and power and money. It still goes back to the same thing. Look at
it from a social aspect. If I can keep one group of people away from another group of people and then have them come together and fight and then separate them again on them same basis, I stand a lot more to gain when I come down to building schools, roads, houses, and all kind of other things like that.
If really and truly, if Black America knew how much power they had in numbers, how much stuff could happen and not happen. And so there's a purpose to keeping that divided.
It's okay. Whenever you have separate black, like there's separate gay society, separate Italian, everybody has Jewish, everybody has their own sect, but when black people separately come together for a cause to create economics and so forth like that, there's always a problem. And there's always a specific goal to keep that separated. It is racism.
They wanted people to be segregated. Not only that, they wish that they could, it went from enslaving a people who you thought wasn't even a person. And then it went from that to y'all just stay on y'all side and we'll stay on our side. And then even to the point of, can't we just get rid of them and send them back to Africa, right? Where did those people go? Did they? It's just like all of a sudden someone snapped their finger and no one thought like that anymore. No. So absolutely, they exist, right? So they exist.
They got children, and them children had children.
Okay, so something is going on that. What did they say about the devil? The greatest thing the enemy ever did was make people believe that
he doesn't
exist.
So in order for us to take back, all right, our communities, is that we have got to look at what we consider to be civilized. If you got a drug dealer in your community, you say that's not civilized behavior, boop, you got to go, partner.
But there's the problem. Let me jump in on this.
Okay.
If we don't have the power to kick them out, because we don't have the final say-so in our community. The police have the final say-so in our community. That's why what blows my mind, anytime if a policeman pulls over a white man in a white community, if he don't feel like he did nothing wrong, he raising all Cain. Why in the hell you pulled me over? I can't believe you did this.
Your badge number.
Because what's your badge number? This and this and this. I want to talk to your manager or whoever, your sergeant, whatever. Because he looks like, he's looking at him like, I pay your salary because you live off of taxpayer dollars and I'm paying your salary. So they have a different mindset of what the police are there for. We don't have that same luxury.
But that's classism. The thing is that there are African American people that don't believe that racism exists until it happens to you.
I want to say my spidey senses have gone off. If we're talking about media, just to talk about media one more time and bring it back to media, I don't have a TV, but I'll go to the gym pretty often. Lately, I've been kind of slacking. But when I go to the gym lately, I could not believe how many times, it was on loop, they showed Eric Gardner get killed on loop. Then when that guy got shot in the back and he was running on loop.
A million times.
Now let me tell you one thing that the American government knows and media knows. During the Vietnam War, the reason there was such unrest and protests amongst everyone is they made the connection that they were showing the front lines on TV. And it caused people to have an emotional reaction and to have movement, because energy is motion, right? Energy in motion. So knowing that they know that, I'm like, in my mind, we're talking about is being literate about media and how media is being used, and talking about is there some higher agenda. I can only think you don't have to show someone getting killed over and over again. Do you think that's not going to cause an energy rising up in somebody? And if you do, then what you do as a manipulator, if you want to manipulate, you grab that energy and you do what you want with that energy.
Has anybody here seen the documentary Terms and Conditions?
Yes.
So one of the things that was really poignant in that, you asked, is social media a good thing overall? The CIA point blank said it was a godsend. Because the Central Intelligence Agency, the NSA, the FBI, now have access to more information than has ever happened in the history of the world. The Stasi, you name it, there has never been a group who has tried to control anyone who could amass as much information about people as Facebook has allowed. And we give it freely. We give it freely. They have hundreds of pictures of us with different hairstyles and cuts and colors and clothing, and see how we look all these different ways. They know our political affiliations, our religious affiliations, our likes and our dislikes, and we give it to them all freely.
Then why do you have Facebook? What did you personally?
Because I started it because my niece made me. She told me it was a thing I had to do. And then it was to perpetuate, it was to keep in contact with my people in New Orleans. And now I use it for social awareness, which is the good thing to me. So I get defriended on a pretty regular basis because I'm kind of a little bit vocal. And one of the things that I get defriended for a lot of the time is trying to point out racism.
And you get across my experience of that person. They're not going to change their view. They are going to stay in their white world because they don't know they have a privilege. They don't know, they can't see it. So, you know, those are usually the ones that defriend me. I got a couple of those today, which I anticipated. I'm okay with that, you know.
I'm like, who are you really? It makes me start to think that some of these people must be like CIA agents or something. I'm so serious.
I agree with you.
I am so serious.
One more thing,
because just like corporations, if you work for a corporation, they have someone who manages media. And you best believe they manage social media. And they do not say, hey, I'm Kroger's, or hey, I'm Lexus, and I want you to buy a Lexus. No, 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 no. That's not what they do. They act like they're your friend. They are your friend.
When you loop a thing like Eric Garner getting killed, or one of the any of these, you notice the one that really didn't get pushed a lot was Tamir Rice, because everybody could connect with a 12-year-old little boy. Every mother, I don't care what your skin color, could connect with a 12-year-old little boy. But if they're older than that, they're going to keep looping it, keep looping it, keep looping it, because it desensitizes the 77.7% of the population that feels like, this isn't my problem. They have all this crime. And look, when you look at the statistics, it's only 230 something of them. There were more whites that were killed by cops. And when the news media is putting out those statistics, they're not saying right next to it in even bigger letters, however, the black population is only 13%.
The thing is that when you're asked, what do you want? What do you want for your community? What do you want for yourself? If you say we want jobs, what kind of jobs? Okay? What kind of jobs? Do you want corporate jobs? Do you want Walmart jobs? What kind of jobs? Do you want better education? What kind of education? Do you want Montessori? We have to be specific in what we want, and then we also have to come up with the plan to implement it.
We need to ride.
Okay? I don't care. I'm not about riding.
We need to keep riding. Absolutely. You can't ride and then stop a couple days later. You got to follow through.
What I'm saying is that literally.
So hold on, Q, you are with rioting?
Yes.
Yes.
Let's take a step back. I would say no, but we tried the nonviolent route. We tried to go to Congress. We tried to appease people.
What do you mean by rioting though? Are you talking about organized militant resistance to oppression, like Or do you want to burn a building down? Do you just want random kids throwing rocks? Like you got it. Like for me, I care about the elderly in Baltimore. Like more than anything, I think about the elderly because I have parents that are getting up in age that don't particularly live in an all-white neighborhood. So if everybody in the neighborhood just wants to flip out because somebody gets shot by the cops, I'm like, fuck. I have to think about my parents. I'm gonna roll through that motherfucking hood in a tank and run over everybody to get to my parents.
A lot of people died in the Civil War.
I don't think you're thinking responsibly.
See, Martin was, and the civil rights movement was so effective because they kept their hands clean in the face of their opponents. They kept their hands clean from grime and blood, and that was so effective because the spotlight was put on the opposition because they were keeping their hands clean and not returning the favor. So it was more obvious and apparent the objective of the oppressor.
The only way we can actually affect change is to gather masses. So when I just come up with an idea, that's not going to do anything. When we in this group come in, that's not going to do anything. You have to literally affect the masses that's going to affect their pockets that will force them to change.
To learn the game, okay, you have to learn the game and then you have to become the master of the game. Okay? I do agree that once you affect something economically, okay, then that is a powerful set. However, if you learn the game, you master the game. We don't necessarily, you have to get players out there that have the money for your backing because they have players out there that have money for their backing.
Q, if we're just like, so you said the Bible says that these things are supposed to happen, right? Mm-hmm. So what if Martin Luther King would have been like, oh, well, I guess these things are supposed to happen, and he would have just sat there and he wouldn't have done nothing, your behind would be sitting on the back of the bus.
That don't mean that you don't change. That don't mean that you don't press for change. You still do what's right to do regardless of whatever will happen. If you look at Paul in the Bible did not try to change government. If you look at Jesus, consistently he would always say, he who have an ear, let him hear. So what I do and what people should do is stop trying to gather the masses. You're not going to get the masses. What you can do is help the individual. What you can do is help the person next to you. What you can do is help your brother or sister who are wayward and they don't have knowledge of self. You can help people on the individual level that to some small degree may help your surroundings, your community, etc. But if you think you're going to change the masses, you are not.
All together, if you want to change this way or structure of the mechanisms that we are enslaved to, we have to go back to what works. You can't be a slave to Walmart making your food for you and HEB, being the only place you grow your own food,
you gotta own the land.
You don't have to own land. To grow
give me 15 seconds.
Let me
You've been going 3 minutes.
I want to hear this though. 15 seconds.
You have to stopping the flow of money to these people of wealth will do nothing because they can care less about the money. They have more money than you can count. What will bother them more is if you dismantle the machine that they have kept running for us to be sheeple into this and do the things that they want us to do and move in the way that they want us to.
Black leader, whenever we need help, what's the black leader that we gonna go to in time?
We don't have any leaders anymore, but I like Cory Booker. He's a solid guy.
I like Cory Booker.
Cory Booker's a solid guy.
I do like Cory Booker.
Is he a Republican or Democrat?
It don't even matter. He's a
yes,
solid
it does.
person.
It absolutely matters.
Not to me.
Yeah,
He's a solid individual.